Today, we will talk about the prophecies of Isaiah and the evidences that support these prophecies. People say that the whole Bible was written by the God, the creator of the world. Even though the God exists as a form of spirit, they say that God had supernaturally inspired to the prophets who lived during that time period to say his word and record them. Then, is there really any real evidence for the supernatural power of God? The main reason that proves God had supernaturally wrote the Bible by inspiring to the prophets is the prophecies in the Bible. There are many prophecies with very accurate description, which is impossible for a normal human to do. The prophecies were very detailed and usually long-term prophecies. However, if the God had created the world and had made plans for it, it will be easy for him to predict the future that he had made. We had found one of the most significant prophecy in the book of Isaiah. He had predicted Cyrus, the emperor of Persia's conquest of Babylon and the reconstruction of Jerusalem. Now listen, Jacob, my servant Israel, whom I have chosen. This is what the Lord says: He who made you, who formed you in the womb, and who will help you, do not be afraid. Isaiah 44, verses 1 and 2. After Babylon conquered Israel, Israelites were caught by the Babylonians as slaves. All the temples and cities in Israel, including the Jerusalem and its temple, were destroyed by the Babylonian army. When the Israelites were suffering by the harsh labor and uncomfortable environment, one of the great prophet Isaiah gave them prophecy about the freedom that the Israelites will gain. Isaiah comforts the Israelites by telling them that the promises of the God that he will be with them and his almighty power. Isaiah is keep repeating the verse that the God had created the world and there are no other gods beside him. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Isaiah 41, verse 10. According to the verses on Isaiah chapter 44, we can know that Isaiah had predicted that the God will rebuild Jerusalem and the Israelites will live there again. Who says of Jerusalem, It shall be inhabited of the towns of Judah. They shall be rebuilt, and of their ruins I will restore them. Isaiah 44, verse 26. He will say of Jerusalem, Let it be rebuilt, and of the temple, Let its foundations be laid. Isaiah 44, verse 2. At the end of the Isaiah chapter 44, Isaiah prophesies Cyrus by his name as the one who will build the base of the God's plan, which is rebuilding the Jerusalem and its temple. This is one of the strong evidences that the Bible was written by the God. Isaiah made the prophecy about Cyrus about 200 years before Cyrus actually starts to grow his power. It is almost impossible just for a normal person to predict an event that will occur 200 years later and the name of the emperor who is going to do that. Who says of Cyrus, He is my shepherd and he will accomplish all that I please. He will say of Jerusalem, Let it be rebuilt, and of the temple, Let its foundations be laid. Isaiah 44, verse 28. Before we start the story of Cyrus the Great, let's stick to another prophecy by Daniel, which is the defeat of Babylon. Cyrus the emperor of Persia attacked Babylon and defeated them. How could Cyrus conquer Babylon? There are some critics and several historians say that the book of Isaiah was not written by just one author, but claims that multiple people had written it. They basically say that the first Isaiah supposedly wrote chapters 1 to 39, second Isaiah supposedly wrote chapters 40 to 66, third Isaiah supposedly wrote chapters 56 to 66. Why is this topic important at proving that the Bible was supernaturally written by God? We have already talked about the prophecies of the Bible and how they are significant. It is significant because it predicts the future, which is impossible for a human. The critics who say that more than one author wrote the book of Isaiah argued that the second and third Isaiah had written the book after the time of Cyrus the Great, which shows that Isaiah is a fake prophecy. As you see, many books in the Bible uses the words from Isaiah, If the Isaiah was not the real prophecy, a huge part of the Bible will not be reliable. The book of Isaiah was written by one author, Isaiah, and all the prophecies he said were predictions which came true. These are the evidences for the one authorship of Isaiah. There is a 24-foot long manuscript with all 66 chapters. There is no other than one entire manuscript. It is not divided into any parts. 2. Jewish writers believed in single authorship. 3. Critics split authorship of Isaiah into two in order to avoid the supernatural predictions of the second part. However, the first part also contains full predictions such as predicting that the Jerusalem will be supernaturally delivered by Sennacherib, the defeat of Damascus, and the destruction of Samaria. 5. Geography, flora, and fauna of Palestine are mentioned in 2nd Isaiah. The first Isaiah was written in Palestine. 6. There is a unity of theology and language throughout the book. 7. The post-exilic prophets never mention idolatry as a sin after the exile. Thus, it is wrong to say that Isaiah is written after the exile. Isaiah speaks about idolatry. The critics who says that the Isaiah was written by multiple authors had many arguments and claim oppose the idea of that only one author wrote the Isaiah. However, there are reasonable responses to those arguments with biblical evidence. The first argument is that it is impossible to predict a king who will be born 200 years after by his name. The response to this is there is no evidence to support that Isaiah lived after the time of Cyrus. The second argument is that there is no mention of Isaiah or any Judean king from Isaiah 40 to 66. The response to this is Isaiah had already identified himself and the Judean kings at the start of the book, so he does not need to repeat his name. The third argument is that Isaiah chapter 8 verse 16 states that bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples. Isaiah's disciples will finish the book. The response to this is that the critics have misinterpreted the verse. The word bind and seal do not mean to finish it, but to protect it and guard it from tampering and adding other information. The last argument is the theme and language between the first and second half of the Isaiah is different. The first part is mostly judgment, the second part is mostly comfort. The response to this is that Isaiah had written the book of Isaiah for his whole life. His language might change as he grew up. Also, there could be many other circumstances that caused the change in language. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And I said, Here am I, send me.